in for a treat. This gentleman is well known by many of us, but for those that are new to our community today, I want to give you a formal introduction to how great this man is. Raised in the base of the snow-capped mountains of Holiday, Utah, Jeffon Seeley is a speaker, an entrepreneur, a community leader, and currently residing here in Atlanta, Georgia. Standing upon Mahatma Gandhi's message of being the change he wishes to see, Jeffon is committed to shining the light of hope, peace, and power into every environment he enters. Named as one of the emerging spiritual leaders in our world by Reverend Michael Beckwith, Jeffon is on a mission to empower 1 million minds by the end of 2016. Jeffon brings his messages into colleges, high schools, businesses, and spiritual communities across the nation, and shared his workshop, which he'll do for us this afternoon, in over 90 places just in this past year. In the 37 years that Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta has been a reality, lots of people have walked through our doors, lots of people have been inspired, and lots of people have gone on to make differences and changes, and different beautiful things happen in this world of ours. This man is poised to be the best. Please help me welcome Jeffon Seeley.
No pressure. So it's interesting when I say that I'm on a mission to reach 1 million people by the end of 2016, people sometimes say that's quite a lofty goal. And then I remind them that there's cat videos on YouTube with 300 million views. I'm very grateful to be here. My name is Jeffon. This is what I consider my spiritual home. This place has such power, such positivity, such light, that we can all tap into and not just embody when we're in the center, but can take with us as we venture throughout our day-to-day lives, embodying the universal principles and being the person that we are truly here to be. For those of you who don't know me, some people, when I travel, they ask, Jeffon, it's great to have you here, but if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? If you're thinking that, I'm reaching an age where a few grays are trying to emerge, but it's okay. I call it wisdom. So, here we are. In this present moment of now, let us open up our mind so that love can be received. Let us open up our hearts, realizing we have been given all that we need. May we look within ourselves, uncovering a safe haven of peace. And let us exhale our breath to share the light that we breathe. My friends, this moment is sacred. We'll never come this way again. There will never be another you. And it is places such as these that can remind you who you are and encourage you to step out into your day-to-day life, being that light, that gift, that unique expression that you have been born to be. You see, I stumbled into the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta about almost 6 years ago. And I was raised in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I thought that there was a lot of churches in Salt Lake. There is 10 times as many here in the South. The only difference is there are different denominations. But I was searching, and I stumbled into the Woodruff Center, and I don't know if you felt like this when you came here to SLCA or to a spiritual community. But you walk in and it feels like home. It's as if you've been reading and studying and searching inwardly only to find this place, and it revealed itself at just the right time. You see, that's where I was at in my journey. Asking, seeking, searching, reading, accumulating knowledge and wisdom, but I didn't know that there were places like these. And when I stumbled in, the love and the light and the compassion and the positive vibrations, I should say, from everybody and from the center itself truly stuck with me. And I remember I was the type of person who would come in and I would stay at both services just in case I missed something from the first service. Maybe I was a stalker. No. But I'm grateful that I did, because I picked up pieces and gems and tools that I could use as I traveled throughout my journey. And I started involving myself with various services here at the center, such as working with the youth, where if you really want to be inspired and reminded of how great life is, just spend some time with the kids. Then I started working with the teens and seeing how they're blossoming and uniting or illuminating into their own unique nature. Then with the young adults, and being able to be a part of a variety of different groups here at the center. And all of these things helped prepare me, because it was in 2014, November, that I was given the first opportunity to actually give myself permission to step forth into that which I know that I'm here to be, to share my message. Now, I don't know why it's been 2 years since I've been here speaking, but I'm back. I had to throw that in there. That's another topic of conversation. But I was given that opportunity to share. And you see, that was the first time that I truly did share my expression in front of people in such a warm and welcoming community. And the reception that I received, it truly stuck with me. And it did something more than just inspire me for that day. It encouraged me, and it was almost something begging at my spirit to give myself permission to honor the gifts that I've come to this earth equipped with. Realizing that if I do not do so, there will not only be people who may not be impacted in the way that they're supposed to, but I might actually be dismissing the gifts that have been placed in me for a reason. And same goes for you. It may not be standing up in front of people and speaking. It may be the unique abilities that only you have come to this earth possessing, that you can work and embody and cultivate and then share with people who you may have never even met. You see, traveling about this year at a variety of places, over 20 different states, being able to stop and visit at the various Native American reservations, from the Apache, the Arapaho, the Shoshone, the Cheyenne, the Aani, the Hopi, seeing the sacredness of the way that they live, and then also being able to work with inner city schools, in businesses, in spiritual communities. The thing that I've been recognizing is that we all have a light within us. We are all breathing the same air. The same essence and energy is enabling all of our hearts to beat. We are all awakened by the same presence. So wherever we may be, or whatever we may believe our differences to be, we are more similar than we can imagine. One of the Hopi elders said something powerful, where he said, spirituality is not just a Sunday thing, it's something you embody each moment of each day. One of the Apache elders said that everywhere we go, we should honor the 7 directions. We should honor the Creator in all 7 directions. And I said 7. I mean, I thought there's 4. But it's east and west and north and south, above, below, and within. And then the Lummi elder said something even more powerful. The longest distance that any human being can travel is the distance from their mind to their heart. It's one thing to fill your mind with intellectual knowledge, and it's another thing to fill your heart and truly embrace that feeling and become that which you are here to be. So, my friends, I share all of this because the light and the compassion, the kindness, the belief, the positivity that you all have helped shine into my life is truly beyond measure. And I've only been speaking 1.5 years, and it's incredible the places that I've been able to go. And I don't say that it's because of one person or another, but it's because of a community that saw a light in me when I couldn't see it in myself. So it's not necessarily the 4 walls or the way that the room is set up, though it looks nice, David. Or the beautiful blankets or banners hanging from the wall. What's important is the universal principles that are expressed here day after day, week in and week out, that you can embody in your own consciousness, embrace it, and step forth and be that change, that transformation, that light that you have always been. So I would just like to begin by saying that the light and the life, the essence that is dwelling within me, honors and recognizes the sacredness and the glorious light that is flowing through all of you. To begin, I'd just like to say peace and blessings, my friends, and namaste. And so it is. No, I'm just joking. So in 2014, when I spoke here, I brought to mind the one thing that's been continuing to stand out to me as I've been traveling down this spiritual path. As I've been opening my mind to the writings and teachings of Ernest Holmes and Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, Ralph Waldo Emerson, diving deeper into the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, as well as the ancient African spirituality, which has so much power. And I've been on this spiritual path for right about 10 years now, and I like to tease that I stumbled upon it when I was about 5. So, but I'm not a teen. No, I'm just joking. The one thing that's been continuing to stand out is how incredible this gift of life that you and I are experiencing truly is. I mean, just think about it for a second. In this very moment, as we are resting in this place, in this infinite universe that we are all a part of, there are minerals and gases and elements combining and intertwining, and new stars are being formed. Right now, as we take this breath, there are galaxies that are being birthed into existence. Our own planet, which is orbiting in a solar system, spinning with such divine and harmonious manner, illuminated by a vibrant sun that is shining down so peacefully yet powerfully upon us. Trees reaching towards the light, seeds awakening to their own inherent greatness as they are resting in soil that has been accumulating nutrients since the beginning of time. In this present moment of now, animals we are sharing this planet with, then there was you and I. See, but there was not only this incredible universe that is filled with divine order out here, there was also an infinite universe in here, my friend. Our hearts that are beating, our lungs that are breathing, our blood that is flowing, our cells that are dividing, our atoms that are thriving. You see, the one thing when I spoke here in 2014 that I was hoping everybody would embrace and that I continue to remind myself of is this. It is the conscious recognition from the furthest planet to the closest atom. There was one constant, and that is God, the divine, is everywhere present. Now, some people don't enjoy the word God, so you can replace it with spirit or essence or infinite intelligence or energy or universe. You see, what you call it matters not. It is the very essence that enables you to speak a word out into the ethers. It simply is. Well, thank you. So with all of this being said, my friends, we've been in this year of 2016, 302 days. So of all of these glorious days, these unbound possibilities that have greeted you each morning, have you truly recognized that you are living? Studies show that we take right about 25,000 breaths each and every day, which means from the beginning of this year to this day, we took over 7.5 million breaths. Of all of those breaths, how many have you been aware of, conscious of, feeling life breathing you, the oxygen that is flowing into your sacred body temple? Studies also show that our heart beats about 100,000 times a day, which means that our heart has beat over 30 million times. And of all of those sacred heartbeats, have you even been aware of one today? Recognizing not just the physical heart, but the infinite essence that is enabling your heart to beat. I would like us just collectively to take a breath together. A conscious breath. Breathe out. And put your hand on your heart and feel your heart that is beating. Effortlessly. Harmoniously. Peacefully. And in this knowing, recognize that the same essence and energy that is enabling your heart to beat in this very moment of now is the same essence that is enabling the hearts around you to beat. The same essence and energy that is enabling the planet beneath you to spin and the abundant sun above you to shine. My friends, we can connect to this moment anytime, bringing ourselves back to the present moment and recognize the harmonious order that is always taking place, whether we are aware of it or not. Now, when we talk about the divine order, there's times where when we're in these spiritual communities, it's easy. It makes sense. Then often we may go throughout our week and something may happen that might derail us slightly. You might turn on the TV. You might hear something from people who are seeking to be elected talking. It may even be something in your own personal life, something that you have been dealing with. You see, and when these things happen, it's an opportunity for you to step forth, because challenges and difficulties often take place to assist us in stepping up into a new level of life, to recognize more of the truth. And being that tomorrow is Halloween, I was thinking, how interesting is it that we may not dress up in a costume, but how many of us walk throughout our day-to-day lives wearing an external mask that is not truly revealing the unique nature of our spirit, of our heart, of our essence? And often when we look back at our experiences in our lives, we see that many of the things, the stumbling blocks, the stepping stones, the negative opinions of another person, the failures or setbacks or sicknesses that may have happened back there, we've used and assembled a certain inner image that we are scared to reveal ourselves to the world. Therefore, we have a variety of masks that we put on our external as we move throughout our day-to-day experience, very cautious of who we share our inner essence with. But when you give yourself permission to honor the divine that is always there within you, you see that you cannot run away from the true you. You see that even with those external masks, there is still a light that is shining, even if it is covered and suppressed with something else. And I was thinking about this in my life. You see, I was raised in Salt Lake City, and when I say that, most people, the next question they ask is, I'm glad you asked. No. Growing up, I was, but no longer am. My little sister still practices the religion. And I've learned it's not my responsibility to approach her and tell her what path she must follow, because as we know, all spiritual paths ultimately lead the same way, for we are all awakened by the same essence, source, spirit, God. And in Salt Lake City, talk about a hit to the inner image. Not really. It's a beautiful place. Well, the mountains are beautiful. I was thinking about the variety of things that I've used to assemble the inner image that I have of myself. I was thinking about the amount of things that I've used to assemble the masks that I wore as I moved throughout my day-to-day life. See, I was raised with my grandparents. My mother was adopted from Scotland, my father African American. When I was young, about 10 years old, my mom started falling victim to, she just didn't see the light that she had. And drugs and addiction, abuse and toxic relationships took her away from us for quite some time. My father wasn't around till I was 16, which meant my sisters and myself, we spent a lot of time with our grandparents. My grandparents built their house in a nice neighborhood of Salt Lake City, and it wasn't long before we looked out in the community and recognized things didn't really match up. First and foremost, in that area, they were both mother and father at home. My mom was scraping rock bottom. My father was nowhere to be found. My grandparents were supporting us with a small Social Security check, and I like to tease that I had clothes, but it just looked like the polo horse ran off the side. So don't judge somebody that doesn't have a polo on, okay? You don't know how that may be affecting their masks. No. But on top of this, my sister and I were two of the only kids in the community who had a slight different tint of skin. And I remember one time in particular how I would embrace the words of another person, internalize them, and actually believe that that's who I was. There was one time in particular, my sister and I were hanging out with some of the neighborhood kids, and I was maybe 8 or 9. And these kids just started ganging up on us, making fun of us because of this, our mom because of that, the clothes, our color. And I remember seeing my little sister, just a young girl, and she ended up going home early. She just walked home, and I was sitting there trying to talk to these people, these kids, and tell them why we were just as valuable and equal as them. I remember the words didn't stop. I actually embraced them and embodied them, and I started walking home. And I remember walking down the street and my eyes starting to fill with tears. I get to my house, I go inside, and I'm crying at that time. And my grandmother, you see, she was raised in central Utah. She is of European descent, and until she had 2 half-black grandchildren, she never experienced discrimination in her experience. And I remember walking in, and my grandma asked me, "Jeffon, what's wrong?" And I was crying, and I told her what people were saying about us, how they were judging us because of the experiences we were born into, not that we chose. And I remember she sat me down and she said, "You know, Jeffon, you don't have to believe what other people say. And most importantly, you can become anybody you want to become. You can be anybody you want to be." Now as I've traveled down this spiritual path and I look back at a variety of experiences such as that, I've recognized that somebody's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And there's a beautiful Stoic philosopher by the name of Epictetus who says, men and women are most disturbed not by what happens to them, but by their opinion of what happens to them. You see, if you can embrace who you are, honor your light, and regardless of what the outside world brings into your inner essence or your inner space, you don't dismiss your greatness. Because dark and difficult times, challenges, negative people, it's going to happen. But all of those dark and difficult situations are essential and imperative for you to elevate into a new level of life. And if you don't believe me, just look out into nature, and you will see how essential the darkness or the difficulties are. A seed must first be sown into the darkness of soil before it can blossom and unfold. Our sacred planet Earth expanded and evolved from the infinite darkness of the universe. And all of us in this room spent our first 6 to 9 months in the darkness of our mother's womb before we were birthed out into the light. So when dark or difficult experiences happen in your life, it is the very opportunity to use those as stepping stones to elevate you to a new level. So, how do we go about doing this? Well, I like to tell people that we have the freedom to become anything we would like. I had an idea to start speaking, and it wasn't until I started making 50 calls a day that people even entertained the idea that I could say something. They think that I'm like a student coming in and just going to ramble, but I'm like, I got a book. I'm sorry. But I was thinking, what are the practical ways? Because it's easy to fill our mind with more intellectual knowledge, but it's essential to have practical ways that we can apply the universal principles that we are bringing and inviting into our conscious mind. And I like to tell people that we have 3 keys in particular, or 3 paintbrushes that we move throughout this life with. And these paintbrushes are always in your possession, and they are empowered by the infinite essence that is enabling you to be here right now. All of those people who have existed before you, your ancient ancestors, have been essential in the development of you. So right now, at this very moment, you are standing on top of the shoulders of giants. There is power within you. The first paintbrush that we use each and every day of our experience to color our canvas, called our reality, is that of our thoughts. It's more than obvious. Nobody can jump within your mind and think your thoughts for you. The second paintbrush that we use to color our realities is that of our choices. And making a new choice can open a new doorway where there may have only once been walls of hardships and difficulties. But if you continue making the same choice moment after moment, you walk through the same doorways day after day after day. The final paintbrush is the most important. And that is action. Action is the foundational key of all success, as Pablo Picasso said. Our thoughts are important to fuel our actions, because Ernest Holmes says that life is a mirror that reflects back at the thinker what he thinks into it. And there is a power for good in the universe, and we are using it each and every day. So how are you choosing to color your reality? What does your canvas look like? If someone was able to see your inner world, what would they say that it looked like? Would you even want somebody to see your inner world right now? So I share all of this with you, my friends, because there are gifts and unique abilities that have been placed within you for a reason. There are people who we share this planet with, this time with, even people who have yet to be born, who will be impacted by way of you honoring who you truly are. There's a beautiful quote that says, a beautiful poem from Napoleon Hill's book, The Master Key to Riches. And he says, "Isn't it strange that princes and princesses, kings and queens, and clowns that dance in sawdust rings, and common folk like you and me, all are builders for eternity. For all is given a book of rules, a block of stone and a bag of tools. We shape this stone as time has flown. We can create stumbling blocks or stepping stones." So how will you use your bag of tools? How will you use the stone that you've been given? You see, if you have an idea of what you would like to become, if it's already within you and you can see it, you know that all you must do is bring it forth from within yourself. A lightning bolt is not going to strike you when you're this changed person, but the inner world shifts and transforms, the outer world begins to reflect that change. So when you have a grander vision of your life, it is placed there for a reason, and it is the infinite that has placed it there, and it is the infinite or God that will enable you to unfold into a new level, and it is into the infinite that you are unfolding, if that makes sense. Might have tripped myself up, but it's all God. That's what the bottom line. So, my friends, I just would like to say thank you to all of you who I've had the opportunity to meet, and all of you who I'm just meeting, for your willingness to share this present moment of now in this sacred space, this moment that will never come again, for the willingness to honor your heartbeat and the light that is within you, in recognizing the innumerable things that have aligned with such precision to enable you to be here today, breathing, experiencing, and living. And I encourage you to not just draw closer to the divine order that is flowing through the inflows and outflows of your experience. I encourage you to not just be more attentive and present to this life that you are experiencing. I encourage you not to just see your setbacks and failures as stepping stones that are catapulting you towards a new level. But most importantly, I encourage you to honor your gifts and your greatness, because we are not here forever. And who knows how much longer we got left. And if there's no better time, then there's truly no better time than now. So in conclusion, I would just like to invite you all, if you are able, to join us for the workshop. I've had the opportunity to share this workshop all over. It's entitled Unlock Your Greatness, because we all have greatness within us. Now, some people may say there's a football game on. There's something else going on. If we keep putting off our greatness, how will it ever blossom and unfold? And I'm not saying that I will give you the tools or the blueprint to make this greatness unfold, but when we come together in such a unique way where we're able to see the greatness within each other, great things happen. And if you don't want to come to the workshop, I have a book. Poems of inspiration, stories of empowerment, and the key that unlocks the greatest you. And all of these things, from my speaking to my workshop to my books, have been, this place has assisted all of those things. It's all been within the past few years that I've truly given myself permission and believed in myself enough to actually step forth and do something different, instead of following the path of average and mediocrity. So I encourage you all to honor your greatness. And in conclusion, I just want to say this. This is the final conclusion. What would happen if we all chose to rise together? What would happen if we all chose to stand together? Instead of plotting and planning to undermine each other. Instead of pointing the finger at our fellow brother and telling them that they're the reason for the problems, or demanding that they're the ones to solve them. Aren't we all walking on the sacred garden, the planet Earth that is steadily revolving around the sun? See, I know we all illuminated. Some have slipped up and others have deviated from the higher purpose, the deeper plan, fallen victim, temptations of a man. Now I understand no one can tell us who to be. Gotta rise above the selfishness and all the greed. Gotta open up our hearts so we can finally see. And if we do this as a people, then we all are free. Peace and blessings.
Hi, I'm David Alt, and I simply want to say thanks. Thanks for taking the time to watch our broadcast here at Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We have a vision, and that vision is to reawaken all to their spiritual magnificence. And one of the ways that we are able to do that is through this very medium of broadcasting. So if you got anything out of this, if you felt in any way inspired, or if something spoke to you directly, then I extend an invitation to you to become a part of our family by donating. And there are many ways in order for you to be able to do that. One is to simply go to our website at slca.com, and there you will find all different kinds of prompts that will help you support what it is that we are doing here in Atlanta. One way is to become a pledger. That means that you decide on a monthly basis that you are going to help us with this vision. Another way is to donate through our management system called Fellowship One, another through PayPal, and another even easier way is on your cell phone. You can do what's called text to tithe, and that number is 404-796-7030. Again, thank you so much for your support, and I invite you to come back weekly to see what it is that we're up to. Blessings.